In the world of Alien, one of the most terrifying aspects, perhaps even more frightening than the xenomorph itself, is the way it originates, especially the facehugger stage. This creature, visually represented as a grotesque, skeletal hand that suddenly leaps onto your face, immediately renders you unconscious and implants a parasitic embryo into your body. According to H.R. Giger, Alien tells a story of alien assault, and in many ways, the way it is depicted truly reflects that disturbing idea and intention. In this particular video, where we attempt in every possible way to make our anxiety over unimaginable situations entertaining and engaging for the audience, we will try to understand how it is actually possible to survive an encounter with a facehugger, focusing on 5 essential points. As always, welcome to Contingency Plans, the channel where we meticulously analyze creatures from various narrative universes, exploring their biology, behavior, and vulnerabilities, and attempt to figure out strategies to overcome or survive encounters with them. I also want to remind you that this is a very young channel. This video is only the 4th one we have ever released, so if you have any suggestions for which creature or scenario we should analyze next, please share them in the comments below. I will do my best to accommodate your requests as much as possible, especially because, at this early stage, the few fans who support the channel are absolutely precious to me. That said, I would say it is finally time to begin our analysis. Before moving on to the actual methods, it is important to highlight a very crucial point. The moment a facehugger launches from its egg morph and attaches itself to the unfortunate individual it encounters, removing it is practically impossible. In fact, one might even say it is simply impossible, period. The reasons are straightforward, and there are mainly 2. First, when attempting to remove a facehugger, the tail wrapped around the neck tightens continuously. This tail primarily serves to render the victim unconscious. Therefore, the first thing we need to emphasize is that if you are attacked by a facehugger and it somehow reaches you, there is absolutely nothing you can do at that moment. Second, the situation is extremely complicated for any companions present, who will be essential in this video because when trying to harm the facehugger, one encounters one of the creature's defining features, its acidic blood. Even in the most recent Alien Earth series, we saw that attempting to forcibly remove a facehugger can trigger its acidic blood, which then led to the death of the poor victim. Thus, solutions concerning the actions you, the victims, can take are limited to things done either before or after the attack. During the attack itself, there is nothing you can do. Only your companions are in a position to act. Among the 4 solutions we will discuss, only one directly involves the victim themselves, and we will examine that very shortly. With that in mind, we must remember what we have said and understand the creature's functioning. Another very important point is that the moment the creature attaches to the unfortunate victim, within a very short time, some say just seconds or a few minutes, the xenomorph embryo is already implanted into the victim's body. The facehugger, however, remains attached for longer simply to ensure the embryo is properly implanted and able to survive later. This detail is especially critical when considering the first method we are about to discuss. The first method is extremely brutal, yet it is probably the most effective of all, and it is the surgical approach. In this scenario, it is something you can handle yourself, but only after you have been attacked. When the facehugger strikes, there is absolutely nothing you can do to prevent it. It clamps tightly around your neck, injects a paralytic agent, renders you unconscious, and implants its embryo. You must endure the process in every possible sense, submitting to this terrifying creature as it ensures the embryo is safely implanted. Your crew members, particularly if they are part of Weyland-Yutani, are often too incompetent or panicked to offer any practical assistance, leaving you entirely alone to face this biological horror. After the implantation occurs and you regain consciousness, only then can you attempt any form of action. As previously mentioned, the solution, surgery, is a concept we also observed in Prometheus, even though there it was not directly linked to a facehugger or xenomorph. The underlying principle, however, is very similar. Within the Alien universe, advanced technological facilities exist, some fully autonomous, capable of detecting foreign bodies within the human host and performing extreme surgical procedures to remove them safely. Immediately following the death or detachment of the facehugger, and at the moment you regain control over your body, you are confronted with a xenomorph embryo already embedded within your chest. The real threat does not come directly from the facehugger itself, but from the chest burster that will eventually erupt from your torso. Consequently, removing the embryo is critical because it effectively eliminates the entity that would otherwise be fatal. While undeniably harsh and invasive, this surgical method remains the most reliable and effective approach currently known within the alien universe, offering the highest likelihood of survival for anyone who has endured such a horrifying encounter. I may now seem like the typical doctor appearing in TV commercials, but in reality, the absolutely best method is prevention. As mentioned in the introduction, there are actions you can take before and after an encounter. During the attack, there is nothing you can do, and the before is summarized entirely by prevention. There is also another precaution we will discuss later, regarding measures you can take in advance. But for now, prevention is key. The issue is quite complex, because one might say you should simply avoid any situation where facehuggers are present. And technically, none of us should ever face such a scenario. Unless, of course, you reply on LinkedIn to a Wayland-Yutani job posting. Regardless, if you do find yourself in a situation with multiple facehuggers, it is possible to be prepared. In the first film, we see a facehugger strong enough to crush an astronaut's helmet, so wearing a helmet alone is not sufficient. However, other works, such as Alien's Hive War, show helmets designed to be extremely resistant, particularly around the neck area. If the facehugger attaches, it cannot strangle the victim, who therefore remains fully conscious and able to act to remove the creature. Prevention thus largely involves the equipment you choose to wear, including a form of technologically advanced space armor that can be highly protective. If there is one area to shield above all others, it is the neck, which is crucial to survival against this creature, even more than the seemingly obvious mouth area. The entire game of surviving a facehugger hinges on protecting the neck. Furthermore, since we are discussing prevention, I should also advise that when encountering a new alien entity that opens up as you approach, it is wise to keep as much distance as possible and observe before engaging in any interaction. This next method is entirely theoretical, as we have never actually seen it applied, but it can be reasoned from the way the facehugger functions. As mentioned earlier, the facehugger does not technically kill its victim. On the contrary, one of the most terrifying horror creatures in existence actually aims to keep its victim alive. The reason is simple. The victim, once conscious again, will do everything possible to bring the xenomorph within their chest to life. If the victim dies, the facehugger's purpose fails entirely. In certain versions of Alien, we have seen the victim actually perish, prompting the facehugger to abandon them and seek another host. This method, however, can only be applied in the very first moment of the attack, before the facehugger succeeds in implanting its embryo. As you might have guessed, the idea is to simulate the death of the victim. But is this achievable? There are several potential approaches. Theoretical methods include reducing blood circulation or heart rate, applying a sort of electrical simulation, or inducing extreme cooling. At least one of these three measures must be applied in some form. For example, a powerful paralytic or sedative can be administered to the victim, drastically lowering their heartbeat and respiration so that the facehugger perceives them as dead. Alternatively, microshocks can be targeted at either the victim or the facehugger to confuse the creature, or extreme cooling can be applied to the victim's body to induce controlled hypothermia. As emphasized, this scenario remains purely theoretical, yet it is grounded in the creature's biological behavior. Importantly, if the facehugger detaches before implanting its embryo, it still does so with its usual hostile intent. Therefore, Extreme caution is required, and it may be necessary to neutralize the creature as quickly as possible to prevent further harm. With the next method, we delve a bit into science fiction. But hey, we are already talking about an alien creature that grabs you, immobilizes you, and implants an embryo. So we are already well into that territory. In particular, we focus on a comic book character named Karen Delacroix. Karen Delacroix appears in the Alien comic series Aliens Renegade, an alien versus predator deadliest of the species. I will keep it brief and won't retell her entire story, as it is long and quite intricate. At one point, this woman, considered a trophy wife of a wealthy businessman named Lucien Delacroix, is revealed to be genetically modified and engineered to be the most perfect human version possible, combining incredible physical and regenerative capabilities. During what can be described as the typical xenomorph invasion, though in her story, these xenomorphs are unique because they are white, but that is a topic for another video. She voluntarily allows herself to be impregnated by a facehugger. When the chestburster emerges from her chest, the event that would normally kill a human instead allows her to survive fully intact. Thanks to the extensive genetic engineering she underwent, her body regenerates rapidly, enabling her survival and full recovery. The basic solution, therefore, which I present last, is to undergo genetic modification to possess a sufficiently powerful regeneration factor to survive the embryo's emergence and all associated trauma. Strange solution? Somewhat difficult to achieve? Sure. But remember, we are in a science fiction universe, and perhaps there are ways to make it possible with advanced technology or genetic intervention. With that, I conclude the video. So thank you very much for being here with me today. As mentioned in the introduction, please suggest in the comments which creature we should cover in the next episode, and we will see you in the following video.